Raren, you've played Magic Arena. You have thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. Before I have to set the stage here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is online Magic, which people don't. I've read a lot of comments nowadays that it says this isn't real Magic. At least for best of one. I'm not sure what the rest of the formats are like. Number two, I'm only platinum, so please take what I'm about to say here with a grain of salt, because once I hit the highest rank, that I'll be a scholar to this game. Now my opinion will be much more validated.
Mythic is known to change you. It changed me. I'm twice the man I used to be.
Oh, well, I've also lost 2 of my kidneys already, so I don't know what else I'm gonna sell to get another deck. But we'll get that. We'll get to that later. Number 3 is I have enough of a experience in other card games where I finally have like the trifecta of understanding like Magic the Gathering. So this is interesting perspective. Let's start off with probably my biggest issue with this game is what the fuck is mono red? Again, this is best of one.
Yeah. Yes.
So again, I played Hearthstone since closed beta. I played Yu-Gi-Oh at this point, and I still think mono red might be the most egregious thing I've seen in a while. Now,
the most egregious thing in card games,
because this is best of one, right? But the problem is in best of one, and you please verify this or validate me when I say this, but so much of the game feels like it comes down to what your mulligan is. Your thoughts?
Ooh. Interesting. So I think we're on the same page. Yes, mulliganing definitely matters a lot. I am incredibly resistant to mulliganing in best of one. It is so hard.
When you say resistant, you mean like you don't mulligan?
I try everything I can to not mulligan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which brings me to like probably like this is why I think mono red is very toxic to the game, at least in best of one, is because why are you punished for mulliganing in Magic the Gathering? Like in Hearthstone, like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have a mulligan. Like I already know that. But in Hearthstone, it's like Hearthstone looked at Magic the Gathering and said, why are we punishing our players for having a bad hand? Let's get rid of that. So when you mulligan in Hearthstone and you know what you're going to go against based on the class you're going against, it doesn't feel nearly as bad. But in Magic, it's like, okay, I have to mulligan for mono red. If I don't, I'm going to lose and get clapped. So if I do mulligan, I'm punished for it. And then even if I mulligan, I may still get a bad hand.
Yeah. And have to go again.
Which in my opinion, as someone who's played a bunch of card games, feels absolutely miserable.
It is a very miserable experience. Yes.
Does it get infinitely better in best of threes?
No, not necessarily, but you can take more risk in best of 3. So in best of 3, you can either mulligan when you don't know what you're playing against. You can keep a hand that isn't good against mono red, and then you get clapped by mono red, and you're like, okay, I'll sideboard. I'll take out my expensive cards that would make me mulligan. I'll put in the cards that deal with mono red. And the next 2 games, I know what I'm up against, so my mulligan is informed, right?
Right. Makes sense.
In best of one, your mulligan is not informed.
Yeah, you have no idea.
You can guess off the sleeves. You might have discovered a correlation between the lightning bolt sleeves and disgusting, despicable mono red degenerates.
Here's the thing: I actually went into this being like, okay, the hero is mono red. If there's I don't know her name, the red lady,
Chandra.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that correlates to red. It's probably something to do with mono red, right? But then my chat made me think of something else, which is, what if they're using like Jace and they're actually mono red, and I can't make that association anymore? So then, and you would agree with me that you have to mulligan for mono red. You have to. You can't.
Well, I generally don't, unless they're giving me the full mono red eyes, the Chandra and the sleeves, because I find that I'm Jace, but I'm actually playing mono red. That doesn't kick in till Diamond and Mythic. The tryhards get that high with it, right? Only people who are absolutely trying to game the system get that high. So it works.
Yeah, it does work. You're absolutely right.
It does work.
Yeah, it's weird coming from Hearthstone, where I know what the class generally does based on the metagame, and then Magic, it's like, oh, you can do whatever you want. Good luck. There's no guessing.
Since the change to a 3-year rotation, the card pool, I mean, you would agree. Like, if every set has 1 or 2 cards that are the best in curve for mono red, the addition of 2 to 4 more sets makes a big difference. Like, the cards are just so powerful. The deck is so streamlined. The deck is so cheap. It used to be that you could get away with maybe, it would take their best draw to kill you on a turn 3 or turn 4. Okay. Like through a play on from your side. Nowadays, they can kill you on turn 3 or 4 with a very average hand through a spell on turn 2. So if they're on the play, like, you could have something on turn 2 and 3 and still just be dead.
Yep.
So yes. Now, if you don't want to lose to mono red, yes, you have to mulligan for a 1 mana play or a 2 mana play that's so disruptive that you have a chance, and it is disgusting.
Yeah. So you have to explain to me why you get punished for mulliganing then.
Okay, cool. I will do my best because all I have is theory.
Okay.
Magic has tried many different mulligans over the years. There have been some interesting ones. A video about the history of mulligans could be fun at some point. The one they're currently on is widely considered the best. And the reason you get punished for mulliganing is because Magic is trying to have one type of mulligan for the entirety of Magic, at least competitive Magic. Okay. And this comes from a world of back in the day when just really degenerate win the game on the spot combos, especially in larger formats, are a part of the game. So the idea was, if you can just mulligan away some amount of cards to get new cards with no downside, then you will just do that until you have the most degenerate combo just win the game potential for the most part.
Sure, I can understand that.
And this is still a valid concern in formats like Vintage, Legacy, Modern, bigger formats with, thousands to tens of thousands of legal cards, disgusting, horrible combos and early plays. And this one mulligan rule is trying to govern all of it.
But let me ask you a question, right?
Yes.
So in Magic, I don't know how familiar you are with mulliganing in Hearthstone, but
I am.
Hearthstone is, for people who don't know, you get offered your cards in your starting hand. You pick the cards you don't want. You get to do that once, and whatever cards you draw is the starting hand, right? Magic is you get to mulligan as many times as you want, but for each mulligan, you discard a card, right? Why don't they just do what Hearthstone did, and you can only mulligan once, but then you don't get punished?
I believe the reason is that they want to stick to that idea of something that satisfies all the formats that have come before, all the formats that exist in Magic. So if you play Magic in Best of One on Arena, you learn the same mulligan system that you would use in a Modern tournament or a limited event at your game store.
No, for sure. But what I mean is, like, why don't they just change the mulligan?
Why don't they just change that?
Yeah.
I do think that mulligan would be disgusting in older formats.
Okay, so you're saying by not getting punished and getting mulligan once, it'd be too good?
I think so.
Interesting.
Maybe I think so.
That's probably why Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have a mulligan, like, for the same reason, because like Yu-Gi-Oh obviously, now that you're you've seen a couple cards, I don't know what cards Simo showed you, but
yeah,
you'll notice that games can end on turn 1 because there's no resources, right? So it's kind of the same philosophy there, but with Magic, because there's a mana system. I haven't played the older format, so I'm kind of talking out of my ass here, but like, I can't imagine it'd be that bad if you got a mulligan.
Yeah. In Magic, like, you need the mix of lands and spells. Like, that's kind of part of the core of the mulliganing system. And that is important. I agree completely that the Hearthstone mulligan would be good for Best of One Magic.
All right, fair enough. Okay.
I agree to my soul. But see, Magic thinks they solved it a different way. So let me tell you about the hand smoothing algorithm.
This is in Magic Arena.
Oh, you've been playing with this. You just don't know it.
I'm sure. Okay, continue. I want you to know this is going to lead to my next biggest problem with Magic, but continue.
Let's go. All right, the hand smoothing algorithm. Did you know that every single game of Best of One you play, ranked or unranked, on Magic the Gathering Arena, you actually took 3 mulligans?
No.
You did.
What?
You did. You took 3 mulligans before you even saw your cards, before you even started to process your hand. The hand smoothing algorithm looks at your ratio of spells to lands and decides from that ratio what percentage of lands are in your deck, how many lands your opening hand would like. So this usually falls into 2 lands for aggro decks and 3 lands for mid-range decks, something like that.
Okay.
Then Magic Arena, in the background, while you're just waiting for your game to start, looks at 3 different opening hands for you and picks the one that they feel has the best ratio of lands to spells. And that is the first hand you look at.
And they do this because what? It makes the game feel better?
So that you take less mulligans. Isn't it basically the Hearthstone mulligan? You know, they just did it for you, so you didn't have to think about
it. No. Wait.
So, yes, behind the scenes, 3 hands were drawn, and you got the one with the best land to spell ratio. That's why you don't take as many mulligans as you actually would in best of 3, where this does not happen. The hand smoothing algorithm does not take any effect in best of 3 Magic the Gathering on Arena in any format. And you might notice, like, when's the last time you had a 7 land hand or a 6 land hand?
I don't think I've ever had that. You're right.
Even a 5 land hand?
Well, so the deck that I was playing for majority of this was the bat deck you gave me. I forget I don't know what it's called. I don't know.
I'll have you talk about that in a second. But yeah, it's got like 24 lands or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's even less than that. I think it's like 20. I can't imagine. I don't think there's that many.
Oh, it was a really low number. Yeah. It runs like almost all 2 drops. It has a Malia, which gets lands. Yeah. That one did have a low count.
Yeah. So that one is either like, I think 2 is probably what I see. Maybe 2 or 1.
Yep.
And then sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm not mulliganing this, so I'm just going to ship it with 1 land and hope for the best. That's a rare and classic at this point.
I'm going to have Libby like put the deck on screen. Yes, it is 20 lands. It is. Yeah. So like you can think about it in true random, right? You would see, even with only 20 lands in the deck, you would see more hands with no lands. You would see more hands with too many lands. You would see that. But
that makes sense.
In the background, you know, your training wheels for best of 1 are on. Wizards is doing their part for you.
My training wheels. Thanks, Wizards.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. How do you feel knowing about that? Like, what's your reaction to hearing that?
I mean, okay, from a player standpoint, it's probably for the best, especially in a best of 1. You have to explain to me in real life, what is the most popular format in standard? Is it best of 3?
Oh, best of 3. Like if you play the best of 1 standard doesn't exist in real life.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense why they would do something like that, right? Because that's what I think that's what it usually comes down to is I can tell that best of 1 is not really what Magic is made for. Because like I said earlier, like so much of your hand or so much of the game feels like what your mulligan is. And when that's the case, it often just feels like it's super janky to play. And that's one of the reasons why mono red's probably so broken, right? Is because like, you get punished for your mulligan. And like, I can just see it in front of me. But that doesn't excuse Magic for the next thing I'm going to bring up here.
Let's go.
The land system. I think it's the worst form of mana I've ever seen in my life. I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
You've become accustomed to a certain kind of lifestyle where number go up.
Yes, dude. I swear, like the development team of Hearthstone when they were designing it was like, oh my god, like lands are awful. Let's do a passive mana system. That's gonna make our game feel so much better. And they were right. They're so right. Now maybe in like a game of Commander or whatever reason they decided to do it for variance reasons, like maybe it helps, but I honestly can't see after 30 years of Magic the Gathering why people think this is a good system. And I think it's cool that like Magic has nuance with its lands, but dude, what is it called? Getting flooded or getting
flooded is drawing too many, screwed is drawing too few.
Screwed?
Screwed. Mana screwed. Is it not does it not explain enough?
Like example, like I'll have like my win condition, I just need to get the land, and I'm like, no, that's not a land. And your deck is so big, and people in my chat are like, yo, you should add another land to it. I'm like, yeah, but like, am I really gonna add another land based on this one game? Like, probably not. It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, oh my god, you just lose the game because you didn't draw your mana.
Yeah, that happens.
It's awful.
I'm gonna blow your mind.
Wait, I mean,
yeah, this is gonna really hit you.
Okay.
the world is not fair. You can work hard and do everything right, and sometimes the world just doesn't care.
Does that excuse the land system in Magic the Gathering?
Does it excuse the land system in Magic the Gathering? I think it creates justification in its way, because a lot of us play games to escape the real world, and a lot of what we escape from the real world is its unfairness. So I don't fault anybody for saying I don't want to deal with disgustingly bad luck when I go and play a game that I'm trying to play for fun and trying to like get back to a fair playing field from whatever's going on that you're trying to get away from.
Okay.
So like I get it, but I would say that Magic, there is a really cold part of Magic that emulates the real world that does not care. It's like you can have a terrible day and you can go play Magic and you can draw the wrong lands all night, and God, does that feel horrible. I've been there. I'm sure a lot of players have. So do we come back? A lot of us do.
Well, so here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
This is a classic case of just investing too much, and you can't let go of it, right?
I think there's a good chance of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Magic the Gathering, like I've said to you in a DM when I was asking for decks, is I have to sell my kidney to make some of these. So if you're selling your kidney, like what's the card called? Sheo, the black legendary minion that when you draw, you gain
Shieldred.
Yeah.
Sheo.
I call it Sheo.
Okay.
That card. What was I going to say? Oh my God, I had a whole example here. Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying before this? I lost my train of thought. No.
We were yelling about the land system.
No, I can't remember. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Sheo, as far as I'm concerned, is a $100 card. Right?
Yeah.
In real life. So imagine you're someone who has spent $400 to get $300 to get 3 copies of them in your deck, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
So you pay $300 for that card, and then let's just say, like, give or take another like 50, 100. I don't know what the rest of the deck is. I'm just based on the other deck you sent me, the Planeswalker one. And now you go to your local event or whatever it is. You spent all this money. You're losing all your games because you're just getting flooded or etc. You're just getting screwed. Yeah. And you get back home. You're crying. Your wife's like, "You got to stop playing Magic, otherwise I'm going to divorce you." And next thing you know, you're like, "I got to go back tomorrow. I've spent all this money." And it's just a vicious cycle, because maybe next time you're going to hit the slot machine lottery of Magic the Gathering, and hopefully you just get your lands in the correct order.
Yeah.
So, like, does that really excuse the land system? Can I tell you how beautiful it is in Hearthstone to know that I never have to think about that? How beautiful it is to know that I get passive mana?
I'm sure it's lovely. I'm sure it is absolutely amazing.
It's great. It's great.
So, again, I don't fault anybody for getting into games and being like, I don't want to deal with the unfairness of the world right now. I want to have fun and I want to play this game. I don't blame anybody for that. Don't blame anybody for that. How many people come home and tell their wife they hate their job, that they don't want to go back?
I would imagine a lot of people.
But they do. They've invested a lot of time. They've climbed the ladder. They've like built it up. They have to work somewhere. They might as well do this. They've already invested so much time. They've already invested so much of their pride and their self into it, and they go right back to it. And like,
that's your job.
I know
that you need that to
it
live.
is.
You need that to live.
Do have to live.
You don't need Magic to survive.
But there are a lot of jobs that you could do, right? Like you could be a YouTuber. You could try that out. It's very fun. There's a lot of jobs a lot of people can do. This doesn't apply to everybody. I have always said Magic is a luxury problem to have. Like it is expensive. You cannot do this without disposable income. You would agree with that, I'm sure.
Yes, I would.
Yeah. You can free to play Arena. That is fine. But like playing this kind of Magic where we're investing in cards is a luxury. And it's like, we invest in different ways. We invest money. We invest time. We invest so much of what we do into our passions. And like, it's not fair. Magic's land system isn't fair.
You're saying,
but it toughens us. We come back for more.
You sound like somebody who has been through so much trauma, and at this point you're used to it. That you're like, I can't leave it anymore. That's what you sound like. I want you to know.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I, as someone who plays Hearthstone every day of their lives, basically, and I mean, you could probably somewhat agree with this. If you play your card game every single day, you get kind of tired of it. You can get a little burnt out. You kind of need a break here and there. I'm playing Magic the Gathering, and I'm like, man, these lands really piss me off, and now I'm excited to go play Hearthstone again. Do you understand how bad that is? Do you have any idea? It's the fact that the lands make me go, damn, that's a mana? That's pretty sick.
That is pretty bad.
So it's interesting.
Magic makes people salty. We've had this talk in our various videos. Like, salt has been a part of the game from the damn beginning, man. I swear.
I think that's just card games in general, but in Magic especially, because you have this land system, there's like I'm trying to get like a really good example here. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you could lose the game on turn 1 based on your opponent's opening hand, right? Which could be said about every other card game, I think, for the most part. Yu-Gi-Oh might happen the most. I don't know if you've ever played the Pokemon TCG before. But
no, but I get it. The nuts are the nuts.
Yeah, so like in any card game, you can lose the game on turn 1. But then Magic has this extra variable, which is like, hey, I know you want to play the game today, but you're not going to play the game today. You're not going to draw any lands. You're just going to keep passing like a fucking idiot. Like, what the hell is that? I want to play the game. I don't want to sit there salty that I can't even play. I want to be salty because my opponent is playing cards against me, not because I can't play my cards.
Must be nice to draw what you need. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It is like, I can't imagine. I'm sure this has happened at some point with someone you played Commander with, but you know, you're playing a game of Commander and someone's just not drawing their lands and they're just kind of sitting. They're kind of just sitting there.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's gotta feel miserable. From like
doesn't feel good
from a content perspective, from a player standpoint, and then like it's awkward because like it's like watching the other. You know, have you ever seen that SpongeBob meme where he's inside and he sees or Squidward's inside? I gotta send you the meme. Hold on.
You're doing a good thing. I want to say I'm very proud of you for sending the meme, not trying to verbally describe the meme.
Yeah. I've been trying to get better at that. This one. This is Squidward's the person who doesn't draw land, and the other people are.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. What I imagine it feels like, especially on Commander, which has got to feel like it's got to be one of the worst feelings in card games. Anyways, bottom line here, after playing Magic for what?
I just put it on my OBS, so it's next to my camera, so I pulled it up for everybody.
But basically, what I'm trying to say here is that if you're Squidward in that case, it's like the worst game on the planet because you don't even get to play the game.
Like, we can have this talk. I don't know that anything I've said excuses the land system and not finding something better, but there's definitely a case for, and I'm curious about your response to it. Like, you use kind of the sunk cost analysis, but there is a case for Magic was the first,
right?
TCG. Magic invented this system. This system has stood the test of time. From very early on, other card games came out and tried to beat the land system, right?
Okay.
So why hasn't that changed?
Well,
why has Magic endured? Do you think it really is just money? Because people put money into dead games all the time. Like, it happens.
Yeah, dude, I'm been with Hearthstone right now. I know what it's like. But I think it's because like at this point, like Magic is 30 years old, right? You ever tried to like change an opinion of like an older person? It's impossible. Like, there's no way you can do it. Like, they won't. Budge.
So why after like 5 or 6 years, when other card games were showing up, there was a Lord of the Rings TCG, a Star Wars TCG that had some traction. I played an X-Files TCG famously that did not have lands. Why did Magic like just keep doing what it did and stay successful in the face of those potential challenges?
What was the mana system in the other games? Do you remember?
God, I don't remember much. I had like the X-Files. There were, now it sounds a lot like lands. Now that I think about it, there were sites you had to visit to get some kind of a resource that then you used to like bring to like solve your cases, and then I don't know, your Dana Scully was OP. That's what I remember. Don't worry about it.
To answer your question, I don't think Magic will ever change because that's their mana system, right? Like at this point, especially it's 30 years, like they're not going to change what they're doing. But I think it's funny. I have conversations with people in my chat while I'm playing Magic, and I'm saying like, man, I really don't like the land system, and then people are defending it. And I'm at this point where I'm like, I think you guys are just hurt, and it's you don't see that how great other card games is. I'll give you like, so Hearthstone is passive mana, which I think is very nice. It's designed with passive mana. That's the important thing, right? If you took Magic's land system and you cut it out entirely and you just gave passive mana system, it would be a mess for Magic right now. It'd be an absolute mess.
Yes.
So you can't do that. But I think games have come out and taken what Magic has done and improved upon it, right? Hearthstone, I think, has done made a really smart decision by doing the passive mana thing. Lorcana, I don't know. Have you played Lorcana by chance?
No.
Okay, Lorcana, I think, has done it, in my opinion, like if we're talking just from like a land, I'm going to call it lands in quotations. They used to be called inking. Inking is some cards that you put into your deck can be inked. That means that they are also a card by themselves, but if you want the additional mana once per turn, you can ink a card and it'll increase your maximum mana, just like kind of like lands. And then you use that mana to tap. So what that does for you, because you still draw the same amount of cards, is that every card is useful, but some of them can actually be used as additional mana, so you never actually flood or get screwed. It is a elegant way of designing the land system after all of these years where it doesn't feel horrible to play against. And every single person I've showed Lorcana to has enjoyed that mana system. It has been great. So like, you're right, Magic's system has stood the test of time, but at this point it's never going to be changed because people are too invested into that system, right? Like that's what the game is. You can't go back. Like, how do they even retcon land system at this point, right? They can't. Also, imagine how upset you would be as a Magic player who has all these lands, and specifically ones that probably cost more than like $1. I'm sure there's some that cost a lot.
What? Every land costs $1. Every Magic player knows that.
Well, okay, so what is like, what would you say the average? Wait, what is that, 10 cents?
Kidding.
5 cents.
God. I mean, yeah, land, no. Lands cost like 5 cents. I was making a joke that, of course all lands are affordable. No, they're not. Usually the most expensive part of a deck is the lands.
Is it actually?
If it's not a monocolored deck. Yeah, really. Yeah, yeah. Just wait till I show you some commander decks, dude. You're going to see. What I'm talking about.
What is the most expensive land in the game?
The most expensive land in the game? I mean, we don't want to go there because there's some real niche out of print lands. Like I think I showed you a Mishra's Workshop. It's like $3,000.
Okay, let's say in standard.
In standard right now? Actually, they've done a pretty good job with lands in standard right now. I don't think they're very expensive. They're mostly lands that have been reprinted a few times or are niche. So I think it's under $10 right now. But for example, the lands that just rotated, there were tri-lands that produce 3 colors of mana that are really sought after in Commander, and there were a few that were over $20 a land.
Yeah, so that's kind of that's so insane. So there's dual lands. So dual lands in Commander, like they get a big reaction online whenever we play what's called dual lands, because these are lands from long ago that were printed. They're basically a plains and an island mixed is called a tundra, and it has no downside. It was just, here's 2 colors on one land. Like those go for like $600 to $800 a piece. Oh my god! Yeah. So I like from the deck you gave me. There's ones that are like they produce 2 different colors of mana, but there's like the problem of like if you have more than 2 or more than 3, I guess.
Yeah. There's always some little problem.
So like those seem somewhat balanced. It feels like, but I can't. It's $20 per land just to play your other cards. Dude, so and remember that hand smoothing algorithm? Yeah.
It looks at the number of lands in your deck. It doesn't look at the colors they produce. So the reason mono red is also OP on ladder is because they can't get 2 lands that produce the same color in their 2-color deck. All their lands do the same thing.
Oh my!
So every monocolor deck has a huge best of 1 advantage. It's going to mulligan significantly less because that hand smoothing algorithm is going to look at your 3 hands and be like, well, here's the one with 2 plains in your black-white deck.
I get what you're saying. Also,
I should say, because you're probably going to post this. Hey, Wizards. Hey, I love your game. Listen, it's a great game. I'm not saying it's bad. So I'm gonna go on a limb here. And I honestly believe this. I met some people who worked at Wizards, and I met some people who currently work at Wizards. Yeah. Like the ones that watch my videos, trust me, they get mana screwed too. They know. They
Okay.
all know. They are very aware. They know that their game can be infuriating. They know a bad day of playing Magic where you don't get your lands right is frustrating. This is not content that will upset them.
Okay.
They've been there.
Just in case you guys want to work together, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're cool.
Which would be very helpful because I sold both my kidneys. So, no. That's probably like my third biggest thing, by the way, is like how much money this game is. Even like the online client's ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And maybe I am coddled from playing Hearthstone, especially recently. Hearthstone's done such a good job of like making you feel like you're getting a lot of cards, and it's super easy to get into from a new player perspective because you can craft like a lot of decks. Magic is like you're all in on one, and then you're just hoping you get enough packs at some point to create another one. And also like I know it's like Magic and they're trying to mimic the real world and stuff, but the fact that they didn't add crafting to the game to get cards is just, oh my god, the wild card thing, it makes me want to die.
You mean like dusting?
Yeah, like dusting and Hearthstone, like they purposely design Hearthstone so you don't want to disenchant your cards because they want you to build a collection and feel like you're progressing, right? But worst case scenario, you disenchant your cards. It allows you to create other cards you don't have, and therefore it's easier to get more decks, etc. The fact that Magic doesn't have that is such a, oh my god, it's so agitating. I was just telling you like earlier, I crafted that Planeswalker deck, and I'm like, man, I really need like 12 wild cards, bro. I had to I opened like 20 packs. I got one more, or something along those lines. Now, granted, I am a new player, so that I'm not getting like duplicates or whatever, so I'm getting a lot of cards, but I had to spend 30 American dollars, so in Canadian that's like 45 Monopoly money to get 12 wild cards, which feels so bad to say out loud, but I mean, after selling my kidneys, like I could afford it, so it's fine. But now I'm thinking about in real life, bro, to actually make these decks. I opened that booster box, the Commander one that I showed you, and then you're like, yeah, that's a good one to get card collection, right?
Yeah,
dude, like, I mean, it was a lot of Canadian money. Let's be real here. Like, it was so much money. And I know that's the physical version, but the physical version, I think, has a lot more merit to being more expensive because, again, you need the actual physical copy. You could proxy, but I feel like, is proxy like frowned upon? I feel like I don't hear anyone talk about it.
Yeah, wow, what a subject. There are plenty of play groups that will do proxy, but in order to compete in any kind of a sanctioned event, it cannot be proxied. Okay. And proxying is very much it depends is the nuts. Like if somebody comes to play Commander with me and they have proxies, I don't care. I think most people fall into the same boat, but there are people out there, if you are playing with strangers and one person's invested a bunch of money into their deck and then you play the same cards with a Sharpie on it, like they might give you like and it happens. They exist. And I get slightly where they're coming from. For playing a casual game, I do not care. But then again, proxies like in a tournament setting are very like bad form and get you disqualified. Like, yeah, there are proxy allowed tournaments in some formats that are cost prohibitive specifically, but none of them are sanctioned, and obviously they can't be. Wizards can't sanction proxies in tournaments.
That makes sense. It makes sense from like a business perspective. It really does. But so again, you haven't really played Pokemon. I'm going to tell you what Pokemon does, and I think it's really well thought out. Pokemon cards are $5 per pack. Let's say it's a new set, but each Pokemon pack comes with like a code, and that code can be scanned on their online client to use those cards from that pack on the online client. It is so well thought out, and I if new card games come out, please follow that. It is beautiful. I'm very surprised Magic didn't follow suit, but I feel like for them, they're like, that money is gonna look really good right now, so like let's not do that. Which again, Magic, I have no problems. I have no problems. Okay,
I'm very aware of the Pokemon thing. It gets brought up all the time whenever we discuss economy for Arena, and it's got to be a feels good. Like if you amazing. It must feel very good to also get this card online and be able to play it online. And I am not surprised that Wizards doesn't do it.
Yes.
Because I'm sure that money is the big reason and will continue to be the reason. And it's too bad. I would like that. I would also love dusting. We kind of dusted past it after, like, into another subject. Dusting feels like agency over your collection.
Yes.
I feel no connection to my Arena collection like I do my paper collection, because in my paper collection I'm consistently selling, giving away, and just getting rid of things I don't need and working to acquire things that I do need. And it's very much an extension of me and the type of collector I am. Like, the way my cards are organized and what cards I own matters. Whereas my Arena collection, I am grateful that I have so many of the cards I need, tax write-off, to make the content I make. But it feels like a dumpster drawer. I don't even know what I have of a lot of cards, especially from older sets if they weren't played in standard. But I have a bunch of cards I'll never use ever for anything at all. And the more I think about it, the more angry I get. And I there's nothing to do with them. I played Shadowverse. I actually had a brief period of time where I made more money playing Shadowverse than Magic the Gathering. That's all the other subject. But the thing that I got to do with Shadowverse that I never got to do before was like just trade in my cards for like a tiny bit of value and then go get new cards. What Hearthstone has. Oh, it felt amazing. Yep. I'm like, I'll never use this card. I'm not that type of player. The same way I do with like my paper collection. I felt so connected to my Shadowverse collection, and I managed and cared for my collection. It even gave me another thing to do with the game. I would open up Shadowverse on my iPad just to like look at my cards and contemplate what I needed and where I could get a few more vials, etc. Not having that in Magic is infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating.
I think it's like one of the biggest disconnects from like an online standpoint to like the actual card game. It feels really bad. But it's also because like Hearthstone for a lot of players is their first card game, because it just enabled people to play card games. It's very simple to get into. And having such a good system like that feels like you're missing out on something in Magic Arena. Like, it truly does. And it feels bad because you're like, man, I really need this card. How do I get this card? Well, I need to get wild cards. How do I get wild cards? I have to open packs and hope I open a duplicate. And it's just like this never ending cycle of feeling bad. And like, what do you want when you open a pack? You want like serotonin and dopamine, right?
Yes.
It doesn't feel like you get that in Magic Arena. It really doesn't. Even Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. And I shit talk Yu-Gi-Oh all the time as a dusting system and Master Duel. Like, what did I know it's money. I was gonna ask like, what is Wizard doing? But like, let's be real here. That being said, it's not all negatives.
Oh,
right? It's not.
Like, there's mono red, there's lands, there's a wild cards. What else is there?
No. I actually think like now that I've gotten a pretty big bite on like Magic, like gameplay, again, granted it's best of one, so I haven't really seen like what else Magic has to offer. And people tell me that the physical version of it is so much more fun, which I honestly probably think it's the case because Magic is designed to be a physical game. The game's really great. Like, I think if they didn't have lands and everything was balanced accordingly without lands, I think the game would be like one of the best games I've ever played. And I think it's cool that like there's so many different ways you can play the game, and everything feels very, I mean, it's difficult at the start for sure. Like, it's very overwhelming, but I think that's just the case with most card games. But as you get more into it, the gameplay feels so fun to play with. And it's cool to have those moments of like, oh, I thought about what you were going to do, and you potentially have this instant that I got to play around. It feels really, really great. And now that I've started playing with like a bigger, I'm going to call it, what would you call that planeswalker deck? Like a troll deck?
I mean, it's kind of a mid-range deck, but it also has a combo finish.
Okay, yeah,
so
I just learned about the combo finish. I just learned about it.
Yep.
Planeswalkers, for example, like really cool. Like, I showed you Titans for Hearthstone, right?
Yeah.
And I think Titans for Hearthstone was a really good addition. Dude, Planeswalkers are so cool. Like, it's such a cool little thing to have in the game. And I've talked about it before. I don't know if I've ever actually like had this conversation with you. I think I definitely have, though. Mini games inside your games is the best part about the game. Like, yeah, like the gameplay matters a ton. But when you add a Planeswalker, it's like, yo, do I attack the Planeswalker? Or do I go to their face, right? If they like, how do I min-max my Planeswalker to make sure it's as effective as possible? It's also really cool in Arena that every Planeswalker is like, I'm going to call it animated in the sense like it has a voice line. And when you do stuff like Liliana of the, I don't know the last part, something. I think it starts with a V.
Vale.
Yeah, Vale. Like she's so cool. Like she has the voice. I'm sure the other player can hear it too. It's very seductive for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on with the lore in this game, but like it feels good to play with. It feels good to play with that. And also like maybe it's just Bloomborough, but the set is so well designed that it feels good to play with these cards. Maybe I'm in a blessed state of Magic the Gathering currently, but the game is very fun. Like I just, you want to like the game so much, and I'm coming from a different perspective where I can see the glaring problem. I'm going to use quotations here because not everyone's going to agree with me. But the glaring problems that Magic the Gathering has, at least in my opinion. But the game is good. It's fun.
I'm glad you're having fun.
If you play mono red, I swear to God.
So this is the fun part. Like we've known each other for a while now, but like I wouldn't really be able to tell what your favorite deck in Hearthstone might be. Like I don't really know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And do you feel like you know what my favorite, like what my Magic the Gathering preferences are completely?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're blue, probably mono blue player. Maybe with a color in it. I went against the mono blue deck the other day and I actually hated it with a burning passion, which made me reconsider this entire friendship. I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah. So I usually play blue-white control is what I turn to the most.
Deck. I think after that game, I said, "Is CGB a bad person?"
Beautiful. I accept. But yeah, like so I would say 90 some % of my content is being angry at mono red just all the time. every day. Every hour. Like, is there a video where I don't play mono red? There are videos where I play mono red like 8 out of 9 games, just seething.
Yeah,
just seething the whole time.
It's interesting. Well, because it's also just the format you play, but it's interesting that how much that deck takes away from what Magic can be in a best of one format. And I understand why people do it. Right? It's the cheapest. I would probably guess it's the best deck on average. I mean, I don't know anything about the metagame. I'm just taking a guess here, but the fact I'm dying on turn 2 probably makes me believe it's pretty great. So
I mean, it usually has like as high a win rate as you get in best of one, which is between 55 and 60%, and it's always up there, and it's always the cheapest to build because you don't have to use rare wild cards on lands, and it's always gonna win games even against decks built to beat it if it just goes first and has best draw. It's it's what it is.
So what you're saying is if I want Mythic as fast as possible, in arguably the most appropriate way, I should just play mono red.
That is what a lot of people turn to. But now you know why I gave you the black-white deck first.
Yes, because that was very good against it. Yes. It feels good, bro, because you know that like that's a good deck and you know what they're going for and you're just ripping away their strategy one card by one card. It feels amazing. But then you get those games where they kill you on turn 2 and you're like, wow.
Yeah. That's pretty. I have something for you to watch. This is from 2 years ago. Yours truly.
The mono red song. You want me to watch this now or after?
Go for it.
You made this?
I mean, yeah. My life's work, if you will.
You can tell, like, just from the first 10 seconds of this video that you're absolutely seething and you're just trying to hold it back. You are so you are so rattled about it. Which is again completely understandable. But I don't think I've like that's why I said at the start of this video, like in Hearthstone, there's only one deck that I can think of that was near the start of Hearthstone, which you will know now as Undertaker Hunter, which is like if they went first, they had Undertaker, you lost the game. Like that's basically what it was. If you didn't have removal immediately, you lost. But that was only for like a small, like in the greater scheme of Hearthstone, that's like a very small section of what Hearthstone is. Like mono red feels like it's been around as far as I can tell for a very long time. At least from like Arena's beginning, which when Arena came out, what 2019, maybe 2020. I think it was before COVID, so I want to go with like 2019. And the fact that it has been the most popular deck throughout the entire time is just feels bad, man. No variety. Like Hearthstone aggro, like I've talked about it in our videos, like Demon Hunter is a problem in my mind. I hate Demon Hunter with a passion. But at least Demon Hunter is not the premier aggro deck all of the time. Like you change it up, right? I'd be so tired of seeing the same color over and over again with no spice. Yeah, it just sounds miserable.
Welcome to the last, what are we on, 6 years of my life? Dude, the worst part about it is the people who play mono red at all times they just have no reason to change.
Yeah.
You know, they're happy. Nothing changes and their deck is always good.
The most important thing in card games is winning. Also, look at this recommendation I got on that video.
Wait, what is it? Oh my God. No. This is what my content is doing? I'm taking the video down. I'm taking it down.
You just
its usefulness is over.
You just wreck.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Magic's been fun though. I'm excited to see how Diamond differs from Platinum, but it is also, dude, the amount of misplays you can make in this game is insane. Like Hearthstone has order lull. Like I don't know, have you ever gotten order lulled in Magic the Gathering?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they're usually your viewers who snuck into my chat.
What do you mean? My viewers? Do they even know how to play Magic the Gathering? They're just going in to say that, I think, at that point. Which is pretty good job, guys.
Some of them know.
So
some of these multifaceted gamers, you know, are very impressive.
Well, actually, to be fair, a lot of my viewers actually have a good understanding of Magic the Gathering. It's kind of impressive. If I have a question, I'll be like, hey, like, what do you like? Like, for example, like the deck you gave me at the Planeswalkers is like, chat, what is actually the win condition here? I don't know. But then,
and did they find it?
They explained it. Yeah, like they explained like the poison counter thing, and then you use the I want to call it Imprisoners something, and you get it to level 3, and then you play the card that gives poison, and then it doubles, and then OTKs.
Yep.
So like I I didn't even know that existed. I was like, oh shit, I got. To be fair though, I just die on Mono Red by turn 3. So
yeah, exactly. That's why we don't have like 4 of each. That's why it's more designed to like get into the late game, and then it can win in a variety of ways or OTK. Yeah. But that's part of the best of one thing because of mono red and because of other aggro decks like mono red that are also popular. It's like sometimes if you get past turn 4, you're going to win just because if you have any 3 or 4 mana cards in your deck, they're better than their cards. Yeah, like you just have to get
like for sure. Yeah,
you just have to survive. Yeah,
you just got to get past the hump, which is I get what you mean. Hearthstone kind of has the same philosophy too.
Yeah, a lot of my control decks, people are like, "What's the win con?" It's like it doesn't matter.
Just don't die by turn 3 and you're fine.
Yeah, don't die and figure it out because their cards are all just going to be one off and done.
You know what's also really interesting comparatively from Magic to Hearthstone is like how much interaction you have with your opponent's hand. Like I didn't realize, like maybe it's like a new thing, but the bat card, the black bat, I don't know his name, but that like just takes a card from your opponent until they kill it.
Yep.
Like
Deep Cavern Bat.
There's never really been a card like that in Hearthstone, like that efficient. Like that seems like a really, really good card. Like I've showed you like cards like discards a random card from your opponent's hand or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's never been like that. And you also get to see their entire hand. Like that's fucking, it seems insane.
It is.
A good card.
Yeah. Discard is like, it's on a high right now. Like there's a lot more good discard cards in the format than usual. So there are definitely standards where discard effects are pretty rare or niche. And right now they're very common. Oh,
but it's been common throughout Magic's history.
They've existed throughout Magic's history. They vary in power level. So like there was a card, a very famous card in Magic. It's called Thoughtseize, and it was legal in standard on 2 different occasions. And it's just 1 black for a sorcery. Look at the opponent's hand, pick any non-land card, and they have to discard it on the spot. You know, and you just lose 2 life. So you play that. Nice. You play that on turn 1. You just take whatever their earliest play is, and they don't do anything for a few turns. Nice. Like that card is busted.
I got a present for Libby. I have a cat.
You're good.
There you go, Libby.
Hi.
There's my cat.
Thank you. Thanks.
that's for Libby. I have to show her because I feel bad.
We can the video can be complete now. It's all good. Are we doing the clappy clap thing?
That's up to you. Who's editing this, Libby?
Well, it's Libby. I have no idea.
Libby, my cat's not here. I'm so sorry. I don't know where he is.
Well, it. We can't record today. Do you think I have you on the channel for your looks or your voice? Where's the cat? Bring out the cat.